The quiet living room filled with soft daylight as four golden puppies formed a strange barrier between the baby and the hallway. Their tiny bodies trembled, not with fear, but with a strange alertness that made the air feel heavier than a normal morning hush. The baby stared at them, puzzled, as if sensing the tension the pups were desperately trying to communicate without a single bark. Mom first thought it was another playful puppy trick, but their synchronized stillness sent a shiver crawling up her spine slowly. Each time the baby tried to crawl toward the bedroom door, the puppies shuffled closer, blocking the path with unwavering focus. The room felt different today, too still, too quiet, as though the walls themselves were holding their breath, waiting for something. Mom knelt down, noticing the puppy's eyes fixed on the dark line beneath the bedroom door, refusing to look away for a moment. Their ears twitched at the faintest sound. Something so soft she thought she imagined it, like a distant scraping in the shadows. The sunlight couldn't ease the tension. Instead, it cast long shapes on the carpet that made the moment feel eerily stretched. The baby tried to giggle, but even his small laugh faded when the puppies stiffened, their fur bristling in perfect unison. A chill climbed Mom's spine as she leaned closer, the strange noise returning, clearer this time, too unnatural to ignore anymore. Her breath hitched, heart pounding harder now, as she realized the puppies weren't playing. They were protecting the baby from something. The puppies edged closer to the door, forming a shaky line, their tiny bodies tense as the soft scraping grew louder in the silence. Mom froze, her pulse thumping painfully, each beat matching the rhythm of the strange shifts happening behind the bedroom door. The baby crawled toward her, sensing her fear, while the pups pressed low to the floor, noses flaring as if tracking something unseen. A sudden thud from inside the room made Mom's breath catch, forcing her to clutch the carpet to steady her trembling hands tightly. The puppies barked once, sharp, synchronized, and the sound echoed unnaturally, cutting through the peaceful morning like a blade. Mom reached for her phone, but her fingers shook so violently she nearly dropped it before dialing the emergency vet for help. She whispered the situation, embarrassed at first, until another unnatural scrape made her voice crack with undeniable fear. The vet's tone shifted instantly, asking her to keep the baby back and not open the bedroom door under any circumstances now. Her skin prickled, the weight of the warning settling over her like a cold fog creeping across a once safe, familiar home. The baby whimpered softly, clinging to her shirt, while the puppies huddled protectively around him like tiny, vigilant soldiers. Mom kept her eyes locked on the door, swallowing hard as the scraping slowed, replaced by a faint, low rustle she couldn't explain. The seconds crawled by, thick with dread, every small sound twisting deeper into her imagination, refusing to let her breathe. The vet arrived faster than Mom expected, his footsteps urgent as he stepped inside and immediately noticed the tense puppies. He knelt beside them, listening carefully, his expression darkening when the low rustling behind the bedroom door grew sharper again. Mom whispered, asking what he thought it could be, but he raised a hand, motioning for silence as he pressed his ear to the door. A cold hush settled over the room before he turned to her with concern, asking if she had noticed anything strange recently at all. She shook her head, confused, insisting nothing had changed. No new food, no drafts, nothing that could explain the puppy's fear. The vet whispered that puppies react to things humans can't see or hear, their instincts often warning of danger long before people. Mom's heart pounded louder with each word, the uneasy truth settling that something inside the room truly frightened them deeply. The baby clung to her, sensing the rising tension, while the vet gently guided the puppies away from the door to examine them. He checked their breathing, their ears, their heartbeats, all rapid, all strangely synchronized in a way that made him frown deeply. Then, suddenly, the rustling turned into a heavy, dragging sound, making Mom stumble backward, as fear jolted through her chest. The vet pulled her behind him protectively, gripping his kit tighter as he stared at the door like something living lurked behind it. The house fell silent again, so silent it made her ears ring, before another faint click came from the room, chilling her completely. The vet steadied himself, gripping the doorknob slowly, warning Mom that he needed to open it, but she must stay far back with Baby. Her breath trembled as she obeyed, clutching her child, while the puppies crowded beside her, their eyes wide yet fiercely focused. The vet cracked the door open an inch. Instantly, a gush of cold air spilled out, carrying a strange, earthy scent that felt wrong. He froze, listening, but the room was pitch still, the dragging sound gone, replaced by a quiet hum that hadn't been there before. Mom watched the crack widen, dread curling in her stomach as the sunlight failed to reach the darkness stretching across the floor. The puppies whimpered softly, tails tucked, their small bodies shaking as though warning him not to step into the shadowed room. The vet flicked on his flashlight, the beams slicing into the blackness, revealing overturned blankets and claw-like marks on wood. Mom gasped, covering her mouth, but the vet motioned her to stay silent, his jaw tightening at the sight of scratches too deep for toys. A soft tapping echoed from under the bed, faint yet deliberate, each rhythm heavy enough to make her knees weaken instantly. The vet crouched low, inching toward the sound, but the tapping stopped abruptly, replaced by a thick stillness that felt unnatural. The puppies pressed closer together, their wide eyes fixed on the darkness as though they sensed something beginning to move slowly. Mom felt her heartbeat stutter, dread rising, knowing whatever lay inside that room wasn't something she could explain anymore. The vet swallowed hard, lifting the bed skirt with the tip of his flashlight, the beam trembling against the hardwood floor beneath. Mom leaned forward instinctively, then froze when the puppies suddenly barked, sharp and frantic, their fear erupting uncontrollably. The vet jerked back just in time as something shot across the floor, fast, silent, its shadow streaking through the flashlight beam. Mom screamed, stumbling toward the wall as the shadow darted behind a dresser, disappearing in a blur that chilled her bones. The puppies lunged forward as if ready to defend, their tiny growls vibrating through the room despite their trembling frames. The vet steadied himself, whispering that whatever it wasn't a house pest. It moved with intention, almost calculated. Mom's breathing faltered as she clutched the baby tighter, his small fingers gripping her shirt while he hid his face in fear. The air felt heavier now, pressing down with a suffocating weight that made the living room seem miles away from safety. Another scraping sound echoed, slower this time, as though the creature realized it had been noticed and was circling carefully. The vet stepped back, exhaling shakily, telling Mom they needed to secure the house immediately and not get any closer to the door. The puppies barked again, not at the door now, but at the darkness spreading beneath it, thin and curling like something alive. Mom felt her world tilt with terror as the vet whispered that this was no longer a routine call, something dangerous was inside. Mom's legs trembled as she backed away, the baby clinging tightly, while the vet closed the bedroom door with careful precision. The puppies continued growling low, their tiny bodies forming a protective half-circle around the child as though guarding royalty. A soft thump hit the other side of the door, slow and deliberate, sending a cold wave through the hallway that stole Mom's breath. The vet whispered that something had likely hidden inside for days, waiting, watching, its presence detected only by the puppies. Mom's heartbeat roared in her ears as she imagined something crawling in the dark, slipping through shadows where no one could see. The puppies suddenly stiffened, ears twitching toward the window this time, tracking faint vibrations Mom couldn't hear at all. The vet crouched beside them, his face pale, admitting he'd only seen animals react this way when sensing territorial threats. Mom felt a chill race down her spine as a faint dragging sound returned, this time above them, across the ceiling panels slowly. She stepped instinctively over her baby, shielding him, while the puppies began trembling harder, their stares fixed upward in fear. The vet grabbed his kit with shaking hands, muttering that whatever was in their home was moving freely and watching them now. The soft hum grew louder, echoing through the vents, a sound too steady, too calculated to belong to any common household creature. Mom felt a cold certainty settle. Whatever it was, it had chosen this house, and it definitely didn't want them near that room. The vet motioned for Mom to step back into the living room, urging her to keep all exits open as he examined the ceiling vents. The puppies crowded around the baby again, forming a quiet shield, their eyes following the vet's movements with anxious intensity. A sudden metallic click echoed from the vent, subtle but sharp enough to make every person and puppy freeze in perfect stillness. The vet leaned closer, shining his flashlight, but the beam reflected off something inside, smooth, dark, and definitely alive. Mom gasped as a thin shape retreated deeper into the shadows, moving silently as though mocking their attempts to track it. The puppies barked at once, their fear shifting into agitation, sensing the creature circling them from within the house walls. The vet whispered that the strange hum earlier wasn't electrical. It was the creature's breathing, controlled and disturbingly calm. Mom felt her stomach drop as she realized the thing had been listening, reacting to every sound they made since morning. The ceiling creaked again, slow, deliberate footsteps crossing overhead, like it was choosing its next move with eerie precision. The vet stepped back, sweat beading on his forehead, warning Mom not to make sudden noises, or it might come down unexpectedly. The puppies pressed closer to the baby, their small bodies trembling but ready to defend him with everything they had left. A long crack echoed, and Mom's breath hitched. The creature had stopped moving, as if waiting for someone to make the first mistake. The house felt suffocating as the vet signaled for Mom to retreat slowly, never taking his eyes off the vent where it last moved. The puppies shuffled backward with her, staying tight around the baby, their paws soft but movements tense like coiled springs. Another low scrape echoed, sliding along the inside of the wall, traveling down toward the floorboards with unsettling patience. Mom pressed her back to the wall, clutching her trembling child as the sound drifted closer, pausing directly behind the sofa. The vet gripped a long inspection tool, hands unsteady, knowing he had only seconds to react before the creature emerged fully. The puppies' growls deepened, their ears flat, tails down, bodies shaking with a primal fear no training could override. A faint hiss seeped from the shadows, soft but chilling, a sound that made Mom feel like the room itself tightened around them. The vet leaned forward, flashlight raised, whispering that the creature was cornered and might attack if it sensed an opening. Mom held her breath as silence filled the room again, thick enough to muffle even the sound of her racing heartbeat. The baby whimpered, a tiny sound that echoed far too loudly, causing the puppies to instantly form a tighter protective circle. The shadows beneath the sofa shifted subtly, a hint of movement that confirmed the creature was now inches from emerging. The vet braced himself, eyes wide, whispering for Mom not to move. Whatever was hiding here was preparing to strike. The room darkened as the creature slowly pushed its shadow outward, stretching into the light like it had waited for this moment. The puppies barked wildly now, their courage overriding fear as they lunged forward, forcing the creature to retreat momentarily. The vet swung the flashlight toward the movement, catching a glimpse of something sleek and unnatural sliding across the floor. Mom screamed as the creature recoiled, its body twisting unnervingly fast, disappearing beneath a narrow gap in the dresser. The puppies refused to back down, planting themselves firmly between the baby and the shifting shadows moving inside the room. The vet shouted for Mom to grab a towel and block the vent, desperate to trap the creature before it escaped deeper into the home. Her hands shook as she stuffed fabric into the opening, each second feeling like the creature was choosing a new place to break out. A loud thump echoed from the dresser, then silence, deeper and heavier than before, as though the creature was listening closely. Mom's breath hitched when the puppies suddenly stopped barking, their heads tilting in perfect unison toward the bedroom again. The vet steadied himself, whispering that the creature was circling back, drawn to the same room it had first been hiding in. A soft slither echoed from the hallway, pulling all their attention as the shadow moved toward the closed door with chilling intent. Mom clutched her baby tighter, terrified, realizing the creature wasn't just hiding, it had a purpose, and it wasn't finished yet. The hallway dimmed as the creature pressed against the bedroom door, its shadow pulsing like a heartbeat beneath the crack. The puppies formed a trembling wall, growling low, refusing to allow even an inch of approach toward the child behind them. The vet positioned himself with his net tool, inhaling shakily, knowing he had one chance to catch it before someone was hurt. Mom felt the floor vibrate faintly as the creature slid upward, climbing the door, its movements slow and disturbingly intelligent. A sharp screech erupted from behind the wood, echoing through the house and sending the baby into terrified sobs instantly. The puppies barked with desperate fury, their tiny bodies shaking, but their voices rising like a shield to drown out the terror. The vet kicked the door open, flashlight blazing through the darkness as the creature leapt across the room in a violent blur. Mom watched in horror as he lunged forward, tossing the net with trembling precision, catching the writhing shadow mid-escape. The creature shrieked, the sound raw and chilling, its dark form twisting violently as the vet fought to trap it securely. The puppies charged forward, barking wildly as the creature thrashed, slowly weakening until its movements finally collapsed. Mom collapsed to her knees, heart racing uncontrollably, staring at the captured creature as relief and shock collided inside her. The vet exhaled deeply, whispering that the puppies had saved the baby's life because whatever this thing was, it wasn't harmless.